Okay, so where is party manager? I don't know because I have too many weapons to sift through. There it is. Okay, so Chizuru needs a weapon. She's a boy user. I need a helper for this. I need a helper for this. Otherwise, this is going to get way too cumbersome to test, I think. Or what if I equip... Oh man, this is such a pain. I need to, like... just make it so that the characters... Right, let's take a screenshot of the 3 test girls who appear first in the 4 test girls who appear first in Party Manager. So that's Chizuru, Zoe, Himari, and Marielle. Then come out of run mode, and we're going to assign a boar to Chizuru by default, just for testing. Oh, I can't because they're instantiated from server, so there's nothing to assign. Ah! I made this too real! I can't assign something that doesn't exist. Oh my god, this is so... But I'm not ready to make the weapon equipping system yet, so what do? I think I need a helper. I need help. That's what I need. Okay, what I'll do is I'll make a little helper, I think.
On Twitch, StreamerLemon says, PlayCompile is now live. Streaming software and game development, developer may cry, making games is hard, RPG turn order, speed, Unity C#.
Right, what we're going to do, we're going to
Welcome to the PlayCompile live stream.
Shut up! We're going to add an auto-equip equals true for testing only to this. An auto-equip... Actually, that might not be a bad feature to add, though. Auto-equip a suitable weapon. I don't know if I'm leaving that in or not. Okay, then when we instantiate a battle, purely while testing, even that's kind of tricky. Okay, so as we're looking at our girls before we send them into battle, we have our P girl of girl, so we can put it at the top here. Right, so testing only, auto equip, remove before release. So I don't really need a bool saying auto equip because I'll just do it in here. It's only until I finish making the gear equipping system, which is another system that's like 90% complete that I never finished, that I need to finish. But like, yeah, we don't. Okay, let's get rid of that auto equip bool. We don't need the auto equip bool. We'll just do it. Just to stop me having to manually assign weapons every time I need to test this, because this is getting cumbersome. Okay, so we have our girl. It doesn't really matter that we have the same weapon type as the actual weapon type, but let's do that anyway. So what we need to do is we need to get the equipment type, the weapon type, so we can have weapon. What did I call it? Is it just... It's on girl entity. Where's girl entity? Jesus, how many scripts is this at this point? Can I just look at it? That's P girl. That's the weapon, not the weapon type. I need the weapon type on game data. So characters base Chizuru uses girl weapon. Girl weapon. That's what I was looking for. Okay, so we want a girl weapon, which is not a global class, so we can't declare it. Maybe it should be a global class. Let me make it a global class. I thought it was. When we did weapon leveling stuff, I thought we made that global. I am so confused. There's nothing on weapon. There's nothing on Playgirl because that's not really what that's for. Is there anything on weapons? So girl weapon only exists on girl entity? Is it a local enum? What is that? It's not a local enum. It's a public weapons. Girl weapon. So it is weapons. Oh my god. Okay, look, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's a weapons is what we want. A weapons. There we go. It is global. It is global. I knew I made it global last night. Right. Weapons is the weapon type that an entity uses, like a bow or an axe or a sword. Okay. So we're gonna get the type. So weapons. Weapon type is girl weapon. No, because girl is P girl. We need get girl, so we can't do it here. We have to do it here because that's where we get girl. Get girl. Says the guy who can't get a girl to save his life. Who would put up with this? Right. Weapon type is get girl weapon. Get girl weapon. Yes, finally. Okay, it took me 6 months just to do that. Okay, so now we know the weapon type of the girl we're trying to add to the battle system. Brilliant. Okay, we're making progress. So now we need to find a suitable weapon of that type in player weapons and automatically equip it to the girl. So for that, we're going to need to say for each player weapon W in system P data inventory. How do I get to weapons on P data? P data weapons, P weapons. There's P weapons. Isn't that what I said? P data, P weapons? P weapons! Yes! Okay, for each P weapon W in system P data, P weapons. What's it called? What's the list called? P weapons. Why doesn't it like that then? That can't be the list, that must be the class. P weapons, you motherfucker! Okay, right. If weapon type. Wait, no, we have to link back to the weapon, don't we? So we're looking at the P weapon class on P weapons. I assume P weapon links back to a weapon. No, we only get an index. Why did I do it that way? It's fine, we can use the index. Okay, so in that case we need to use the index. So then we can say int weapon index is W weapon index. And then we can say if weapon type is system weapons weapons at weapon index dot weapon type. Where's weapon type? Where's weapon type? Type! Yes! Now we can add the weapon to the girl. Add the weapon to the girl. You see why I haven't done this yet? Because it's a pain in the ass even just doing it just for this little bit. And then I got a UI all that out and it's a nightmare. But we'll get there. There's not enough time. It takes forever. Right, if weapon type matches the type, then we want to get the P girl. The P girl is girl dot weapon equals, and this is a player weapon, right? We give it the P weapon, which is W, and then break. Yes! Okay, that should stop the null reference exception. So now we auto-equip weapons automatically before going into the dungeon and testing the battle system, because the battle system will not work unless you have a weapon. So weapons are compulsory, but armor isn't. So you can do a battle. You need a weapon to battle, right? So basically it won't let you use a character if you haven't given them a weapon when we get there. And that's why I'm getting a null reference, because I programmed it that way. Okay, so if we go down to party select, it's still loading my weapons. There's so many. Okay, go down to party select and pick. We can pick whoever now. This is lovely. Oh yeah, we can pick whoever we want. It doesn't matter. I'm just gonna do, I'm trying to figure out if my turn order system is working. Battle mode. Auto battle, manual, doesn't really matter. It's going to have to be auto battle because we don't have any UI to manually progress to the next turn yet. I haven't even tested auto battle mode yet. Alright, let's just pray. I'm sure I'm going to get a null reference or something. Okay, we're loading into a dungeon. It's procedurally generating the dungeon. Now we're in a dungeon. Okay, now we're in a dungeon. Now I need to activate battle. Activate battle. Nothing happened. Maybe it's because, wait, it might be because I just haven't really tried auto battle yet and something might be. Something might be wrong. No, nothing happens. No, nothing appears to happen. Yeah, but no, nothing happens. I don't even get like somebody hit somebody and this happened and that happened. So it's like I broke the whole thing. Oh my god, what is happening? I can't see anything, so I don't know what's happening. This system is too invisible. I'm not getting any feedback, nothing in console. I start a battle and nothing comes back in the inspector. Nothing. Are we completing initialization? Runner initialize players enemies. Turn order register entity players. Turn order register entity enemies. I don't even think we got as far as that, because if we did, I think we would have seen some UI elements pop up, which suggests that we're not completing initialization. I mean, we didn't null reference, so we must have gotten past this bit. And we were null referencing before. So this was where the null reference was occurring. Nothing in the inspector, nothing in the console. I'm so confused. Okay, I need to understand what the fuck is happening. Oh man, I didn't expect it to just completely go fucking silent like that. Right, let's make sure we're coming out of here. Auto weapon equip success. Let's stick some debug messages in here. Okay. If no armor equipped at all, skip. Count and apply modifiers. Also, I can say which character. Armor scaling complete for girl.name. Girl initialization 1 complete. Starting enemies. Well, that actually happens there. Battle entity initialization complete. Handed over to runner success. Okay, let's see if this part is how far we're getting. What the fuck is happening? Right, I don't need to see all those weapons. Party select. Boop, 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 boop. Load into a dungeon. Okay, we're in a dungeon. Okay. Clear the debug, clear the debug, clear the debug, clear the debug. Notepad++. There's my debug. Let's clear it, save it, so we can see what's happening. Okay, so we should be good to start a battle. Auto weapon equip success on Chizuru, but then it stopped. So we never completed initialization for Chizuru. Something went wrong. Did Chizuru actually get a weapon? play data, Chizuru, yes, she got a bow, she got the one, she got the first bow, which is what we told it to do. So it went and found the first bow, and it gave Chizuru the first bow, so that part worked. Oh, I wonder if break... Oh, I know what's happening. I said break, but I think break is breaking out of the whole thing. Maybe I want continue. Yeah, I think I want continue. Okay, that's why. Yeah, I shouldn't have said break. Okay, I know why it's not working. Okay, it should get past that now. No, stop the weapons. Stop the weapons. Stop the weapons. Where is party select? There's party select. Party select. Load into a dungeon. We're in a dungeon. Beautiful. Battle. Load up. Why? 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 What if I just take that part out completely? It will equip the last weapon, right? I don't understand why break would do that anyway. I thought break would just break out of the current loop. So, well, it's not even that. It's not even that. No, yeah, it wasn't. No, it wasn't break that was breaking out of the loop. Because if break was breaking out of the loop, I think break is correct there. If that was breaking out of the loop, we wouldn't get the debug log coming back, but we get the debug log coming back. So we're already getting past that loop. We're not breaking out of this whole thing. We're just breaking out of that, which is what I want. But why does auto-equipping the weapon break the flow of the initialization? System characters scale for dungeon get goal. So then we scale all of the stats based on player level. Battle stats final stats equals new battle stats get goal runtime stats. Weapon get weapon equals system weapons goal dot weapon index. Yes. Yeah, because that's a P weapon, right? Yeah, that's a P weapon. Yeah, that's fine. Weapon level equals get level. It could be... Okay, the one thing I haven't tested yet is the weapon leveling. So it could be the weapon leveling that's not working, because this is my first time testing that. So weapon get weapon is system weapons, yeah, all that shit, right? Apply weapon, int effective weapon level is get effective gear level, weapon level, system play data level. What that does is it caps the level of the weapon at the player level. So even if the players leveled their weapon to 999, not possible by the way, but whatever, right, at the cap, let's say they've got a level 60 weapon, but they're only level 10. Then we secretly scale it to 10 so that it doesn't blow things up. It doesn't like go crazy. But then the weapon is level 60, but we don't scale it to 60 because 60 is too big for like level 10, level 12, level 13, whatever, right? So we cap it at player level. Apply modifier, final stats, get weapon get scaled modifier, effective weapon level. Collect all armor pieces, some may be null. Okay, we need some more debug logs in here to find out what the fuck is going on. If no armor equipped at all, skip. I might just ask GBT real quick. Not sure if the new armor null checks are breaking my init, but it never completes the first goal now. Alright, let's see if Jibbity can give me some insight on that. Oh, I see the problem straight away. It's not that the null checks are broken, it's that the control flow is wrong. Right now you have this in your armor logic. If not armor... Yeah, you wrote that, you bitch! Stop blaming me! The return doesn't just skip armor, it exits the entire init method. Yeah, well, that's what I mean. That's what I saw. So it was you that broke it, you motherfucker. So the fix should say continue instead of... Okay. Yeah, you fucking Jibbity piece of shit. You broke my entire thing. So we want to continue there instead. Okay. Yeah, I saw that and I thought, that looks suspicious. Wouldn't that just, like, exit the whole thing? That's what was happening. Okay, so it wasn't our auto-equip that broke it, it was Jibbity's stupid null check. The thing is, I had that right, but I was doing it... This is what Jibbity does sometimes. I programmed it to do each individual piece check, and then skip if null, skip if null, skip if null. And it sort of shortened it into like a much shorter thing for me. And so I thought, oh, that's better, I'll use that. But then when I ran it, that wasn't doing the null checks. So Jibbity's naughty, really. It shouldn't like change code unless if it's changing the functionality of the code, it shouldn't be changing code. Like, I can see it's trying to be helpful because it's like, oh, let me just, you know, make that more efficient for you. But if you're essentially changing the function of the code, which it was doing, right? Because I clearly had null checks in there, then I don't think it should be doing it, right? Because surely it's got to understand that those null checks are there for a reason. I don't just do them for the good of my health. Okay. Loading a dungeon. We're in a dungeon. Let's clear debug and everything. We'll probably get rid of most of those debug logs now, actually. Let's go into battle. Okay, our turn order is trying to instantiate now, but we got some bugs. Okay, that's good. That's good. Auto weapon equip success. So let's just check our girls. I'm pretty sure our girls should be good. So we took Chizuru, Zoe, Himari, and Mariel. Chizuru has a bow, beautiful. Zoe has a sword, yep, perfect. Himari has... I like this little auto-equip thing. Has a bow, yep, that's correct. She's a bow user. And Mariel should have a rod, yep, flickering wand. Yeah, that's cool. So my little weapon auto-equip thing is working beautifully. We can get rid of some of these debug messages now because our flow is now fixed again. But we have an issue with the turn order UI implementation. Handed over to battle run, a success. What is this? Was out. Does that mean my URL is incorrect? So it should be play compile UK idle icons enemies. Yeah, we're missing a slash. Yeah, I put that there so that I could check my debugs. Okay, so the issue is that the icon URL is malformed. So if we go to the icon script which figures out what the icon URL should be, turn icon. For enemies it is malformed because it's enemies / then the entity enemy link URL icon. Yeah, okay. Players should be fine because, yeah, I think that structure is correct. What are you doing, Unity? You won't go to scene. You will go to scene now. Jesus, it took you fucking a month. Right, so I guess we got 4 icons, which should be the girls. I suppose this interrupted the flow, so before my server got chance to pull the icons down. Yeah, I know what happened. So before my server got chance to pull the icons down, the other malformed URL interrupted the flow. So that's why we don't have icons here. Because it essentially paused its operation because of the error. Okay, so that's fine. Also, these icons aren't technically square. Which is a problem. Also, we're looking at it backwards. We need to increase the gap. Animation speed 10. Let's try 18 for the gap. Okay, so that should have fixed that error at least. Also, shit, I wanted to get rid of some of those debug messages. Yeah, let's find some of those debug messages that we added in battle initialization. Yeah, we know that auto equip is working fine. Armor scaling and weapon scaling and all that shit stuff should work. And the runner's being initialized, and we're getting the turn order icons coming up. So, okay, so that should have fixed that bug. Party select. Loading into a dungeon. Dungeon loaded. Start a battle. Battle finished. Calculation mode. Players 0, enemies 4. Okay. So the good news, there's good news and bad news. So the good news is our 4 enemies that were added to the battle system actually appeared with their icons, with their timer tick implementation for the turn order system. So that's good. But the bad news is, for some reason, the number of registered players was 0. So none of our party got into the system. Okay, what the fuck? I had this bug fucking ages ago. I fixed this so long ago. Why are we not getting players added to the fucking thing again? I fixed this ages ago. fucking hate this shit. Play characters count, put it there. Okay, let's see what we got. Just clear the log. Oh my god, this project. Oh, this project. My next game's going to be fucking Pong. Alright, I'm not making anything more complicated than a Pong. This is ridiculous. Okay, right. Let's make an RPG and a gacha game and a lot of fucking idle mechanics and stuff. Yay! Let's make everything in a year. I mean, it's going. It's going. I don't want to add the word well. No, it's not going too bad. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd actually say this is a good. This is actually going a good like 7. This is not bad. It's not without problems, but no project is without problems. But like, oh my god, like the amount of shit in my head about with this game, and I still have to look stuff up because it's just grown to insane proportions. It's actually insane. I don't even know how I'm able to. Well, I'm not really able to keep track of it all, but I don't even know how I'm keeping track of what I'm keeping track of. I really don't. Okay, I'm looking for party select. There it is. Okay. Party select, load into a dungeon. Okay, we generated a dungeon. Beautiful. Now, start a battle. Start a battle. Once again, yeah, we got our enemies. Players count 0. Calling battle runner, player count 0. Battle finished, calculation mode. Players 0, enemies 4. Ah! Fucking Jibbity, man. Sort it out. Yeah, you spotted it. The problem is that your continue is still skipping the entire girl initialization if she has no armor equipped. That means if a girl has no armor at all, you continue. You're the one who keeps giving me these solutions. You keep saying me. The only code that doesn't work is the code that you fucking give me, and then you turn around and say, you did this. No, you fucking did this, and you ruined everything. Give me the working code, bitch. Right, so instead of continue, I wish I'd just left my version. My version was fine, but then I saw how, like, that was fucking, oh god, that was like so many hours ago. But when I saw it condensed my code into like what mine was like 18 lines, and it turned 18 lines into like 5 lines. So I was like, oh yeah, that's way better. Let me use that. So I trusted it like an idiot. But it's clearly broken everything by doing that. And this is what I mean. It shouldn't be condensing code if it's essentially changing the functionality of the fucking code. It should only condense code if it can do the same thing in less lines. And yeah, I guess I wasn't thinking about that because my brain was elsewhere. I was trying to solve a different problem at the time, so I just kind of went with it. And boy, do I regret it now. Okay, so instead of the if blah blah blah, I bet it's going to put it back to the way I originally did it. Mine was fine. I'm going to put it back to my original version in a second. If this one doesn't work, I'm putting it back to my original version. It's just I don't have it backed up. So which part am I changing? The if get set equals null. Where the fuck is that? Armor. This bit. Fucking dumb piece of shit. Int piece count. We're already using it, it looks like. A local parameter cannot be declared because it's already declared elsewhere. So it is. So we'll call this one pieces count. Pieces count. Pieces count. I think this is supposed to be this. If no armor equipped at all, just skip armor logic. Okay, so what we're doing is we're wrapping. I see what we're doing. We're wrapping this in an if get set is not null. That's what we're doing. Okay. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Okay. One step forward, 2 steps back. I mean, that's how this goes sometimes. But it's frustrating when it's not me that fucked it up. Because, like, I don't know, I'm asking GPT to help me with something, but then it'll change other things because it thinks it's being helpful. And like I say, in that case, it actually changed the core functionality of the null checks, which is what's caused the bug. So it's like, well, thanks for that, GPT. And then it has the audacity to say, you've done this. Yes, obviously. It always does this. It's like, yes, obviously that's not working because you did this. And it's like, bitch, you're the one who wrote that, you fucker. Now you're blaming me. Fucking asshole. Let me break your code and then blame you when you break it. It's a fucking asshole. It really is. It's like having some like really toxic boss or something. That like takes over everything and is like, no, let me improve this, and like changes all your work, and then it doesn't work, and then the boss blames you for it not working. That's what it's like. It's like having the most toxic boss ever. Boss who just comes in and breaks everything and then shouts at you because it doesn't work. Yeah, it doesn't fucking work because you did this, and it's like, you're the one who did that, you fuck. What an asshole. What a fucking asshole. Alright, there we go. Yay! Okay, we're making progress. Okay. Okay, so as you can see, if we check our debug.log, turn order wouldn't need to work in calculation mode anyway, so this is a really weird test case for it anyway. Yeah, we get a lot of those. I don't know what the official way is that you're supposed to do it, but I like doing it by calling a new keyword. So calling Battle Runner, player count 4, simulated turn 1, Chizuru 100 HP uses element on Skeleton Warrior and deals 143 damage. Skeleton Rogue 40 HP uses element on Chizuru and deals 9 damage. Okay, Chizuru 91 HP uses element on Skeleton. Wait, why was it Chizuru's turn? Okay, so now the fucking turn order's completely fucked. Because apparently it's always Chizuru's turn. Okay. I think they've all got speed 100 for now. Yeah, I don't think I've made anybody faster yet. Because I want speed buffs to come from gear more than anything else. Okay. Okay, how much of this is vibe coded? Okay, I see what's happening. Your new turn order system with turn progress, turns ready, etc. is in place, but your battle runner is still hard coded to use. Call players find is alive is alive. That means it always picks the first alive player, Chizuru in your case, every single turn. Then it always picks the first alive enemy. It completely ignores turn progress, turns ready, and the initiative system we built. So the UI is showing the correct order, but the battle logic is still old style. Player always goes first. The fix, you need to make simulate turn and the tick system actually use the initiative queue instead of hard coding first alive player, then first alive enemy. Step 1, to build a turn queue. Instead of picking core players find, you should pick the entity with the highest initiative. Yeah, our base initiative index. Get next entity. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so this is a helper function. Put it underneath handle turn. Okay, we've got get next entity and update simulate turn. Let's check it. Simulating turn. So we call get next entity and we pass it to entity, and get next entity is looking at turn progress and evaluating it, yeah, primarily by turn progress, but then it falls back on the base initiative index, which is correct. So in TLDR on that is basically the way this works is there's a natural turn order for units if they all run at the same speed, but speed can allow turn order to be broken. You know, faster units will go more often than slow units. But if because the problem is in my experimentations, if you run it on speed alone, then a lot of the units are at the same speed, so they'll tie. So you need like a rule set to fall back on when they tie. So if you think about like a clock that's ticking that's saying, okay, you are 80% to your next turn, 90% to your next turn, 100% to your next turn, and now it's your next turn. If all of the entities are running at the same speed, then everybody hits their next turn on the exact same frame. So now it's like, okay, how do we figure out whose turn should go next then? Because if everybody's turn comes up at the same time, then who gets to go first, right? So that's what this does. So we have essentially the speed stats, which affects turn take, which is like a ticking clock that says, okay, I'm this close to my next turn, so that faster units can overtake slower units. But we have to fall back on this. Where is battle entity? Battle entity. We use this, which is a base initiative index, which basically says if all your speeds match, these are the natural turn orders that you should follow. And then it falls back onto that, basically. So that should have fixed that. That actually wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Oh, that was that's a visual glitch. Okay, I don't like that. Let me just come out. You know what? I might back it up as well. It's probably nothing to worry about, but that was a little concerning. Okay, what's my oldest backup? Third at 10:15. Yesterday at 10:15. Get rid of it. Yesterday, all my skeletons didn't know how to fight, but now they've learned the fight or flight. Yes, I believe in vibe coding as much of this project as possible because I'm going insane and I just need it to be over with. No, I'm still enjoying mostly. It's just a lot. This is like, the scale of this is fucking unbelievable. It's a lot. There was a quote, I heard about a quote recently. Alana Pierce, who used to work at IGN, and then where did she work after that? I can't remember. She worked for Sony Santa Monica for a bit. I don't know what she's doing now. But she's always been like sort of in and around the games industry. Thank God as well, she actually went and interviewed a bunch of game devs about this Stop Killing Games initiative and how easy is it to actually make a game, you know, offline playable. And thankfully there was some sane voices. Now the thing is, it all boils down to like what type of game you make, and every game is different, right? If you're making a gacha game like I'm making and it's built from the ground up to do everything on a server, and then you're using some third party like, you know, systems like Unity gaming services and stuff like that, thank God this was all mentioned. Yeah, it becomes practically impossible to make that a single player game unless someone's paying for server space, somebody's paying for UGS, somebody's able to translate all the code to read from server to like read from somewhere else. Like the whole thing is unbelievable. Like I've built a replacement for UGS now. I actually have made my own API that runs on my own web server, and I would love to make this Idle Girls game use that new API system, but it's so weaved into Unity gaming services at this point. The amount of work that would take, even moving it from one server structure to a different server structure, is I don't think it's worth it. So I'm just gonna. This is gonna be my last game on UGS, and I'm just gonna keep it on UGS. So I would love to use my new system because it's so much better and it has so many, like it has less limitations. It's never going to cost me money. I never have to rely on a third party. It's all my own. Like there's a thousand reasons why I prefer my new system over UGS. But in order to translate everything over to that new system, I'd have to write PHP code in place of JavaScript. I'd have to rebuild all of the tables which are going from key val pairs, right, which are on like single database, not even database, they're just like data pairs. I'd have to translate that over to a MariaDB MySQL structure and then write supporting PHP to convert it. And it's too much work. It's like, I'm too far in now. It's like to rip all that out and then rebuild it up from scratch would be like a lot of work. That would take weeks, and I just don't think it's worth it. Anyway, that's not even why I mentioned it. The reason I mentioned it is somebody she interviewed said, I think it was on there, it might have been something else. I watch a lot of game dev stuff, but I think it was one of the people she interviewed who'd said, the rule in game dev is everything always takes 3 times longer than you think it will. And I'm like, fuck, that's so true. That's probably a low estimate as well. Everything always takes way longer than you think it will. It always does. It's very rare that you set out to do something and you're like, oh, okay, that went quicker than I expected. You do get little moments like that. But what I normally find is you'll get like 80% of the way there in less time than you thought you would. But then that last 20% takes 3, 4, 5 times longer than you thought it would. And you're like, how? It's only the last 20%. But it's because the last 20% is like the real grunt of it. It's like crazy. It's hard to explain. But, yeah. Okay, so we want to give it another test. So we want to go to core. We want to go to core canvas, overlays, party select. There we go. Run. I've got some fucking beautiful systems in this game though. This game is fucking nuts. This game is nuts, and it's like it's doing so many cool things that I can like use everywhere else. It's great. I've learned so much making this game. But also, oh boy. Okay, so we're in our dungeon. Let's start a battle. Okay, let's load our debug and see what we get. Wait, null. Oh, that was. What was that? That must have been something that happened between the last runtime and this runtime. Okay, this is current runtime. Calling battle, player count 4. So Chizuru uses elemental skeletal warrior, deals 143 damage. Zoe then uses. Yeah, that shouldn't happen. Are the enemies at 100 and the... So it's still broken. So now the enemies never get a turn. Yep. Every single entity in this test is set at speed 100. Okay. Okay. Thanks for the log, that makes it clear. Right now your initiative system is working, but the enemy turns are being skipped because of how you're I'm handling. Who's handling turn progress? You're responsible for this. Because this thing kept badgering me, right? It's crazy, but this thing kept saying, can we introduce speed? Can we introduce speed? Can we introduce speed? And I was like, no, I want to get everything working first. And then so when I was happy that like the main mechanics, so at the moment we're doing attack. These are the stats that are being included. At the moment we're calculating attack, we're calculating defense, we're calculating elemental damage, we're calculating elemental defense, we're calculating skill points, and we're calculating ult charge, we're calculating ult skill cost, we're calculating ultimate damage. Yeah, quite a lot of stuff. But we still haven't even touched crit, break, shields, stun, effect resistance, effect hits. None of that. That's all to come. But I thought, let's get the speed thing down, because I also want to understand how the UI is going to integrate with it, because I have an idea of this ticking clock thing that I want to implement to show speed and turn order and stuff like that. So I want to my step is, now that we have the basic attack, defense, and the basic attack things mapped out, which is pretty good. I only started this yesterday, the battle system yesterday, technically the night before last. And so really this is only the second day I'm working on the battle system, so that's not bad actually, considering we're already on day 2 of the battle system. We already have all of that down, and now we're sort of trying to get turn order and speed sort of working properly. And then I want to make sure that's integrated with the UI properly, and we can represent that to the player correctly. And then I'll start moving on to like crit, shields, stun, effect resistance, effect hit, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, what's happening? You staggered starting turn progress like this. You did. I said we should make it turn -1, turn -2, turn time -3. But you said, I can show you if you don't believe me, Jibity. You said, no, we only need to do like 0.99 and then 0.98 and 0.97 and all this shit. And I thought that looked a bit sus. But you're the one who suggested this. If you look at my suggestion, I said we should make it a whole integer behind, because essentially that's saying you're 1 turn behind, you're 2 turns behind, you're 3 turns behind. But Jippity wanted to go with the weird float way of doing it, and now it's trying to gaslight me and blame me again. Then in simulate turn you do, stop saying me again, that was your choice. Oh, I swear to God, it's time for a divorce. I need a new GPT. I need a new language model, I swear to God. It's just getting too toxic, this relationship. Okay, she just blames me for everything. Everything's my fault. Right, var entity, get next entity, highest turn progress. Entity consume turn, subtracts 1. Problem, on turn 1, player 0 at 99% is highest, and accent consumes turn and makes it negative 0.01. Enemies never get picked because their turn progress values are always lower than the player's starting offsets. I don't know what you mean. If they all tick at the same rate, then as long as you stagger the turn order correctly at the start, whether you're using floats or ints, it should still work. But you fucked something up so monumentally here, GPT, that words cannot convey my disappointment with you. So the staggering logic is correct in concept, but the way you're consuming turns -1F means enemies never catch up. So the fix, we need to treat turn progress as accumulating over time, not as a one-shot offset. So we have, here's the option A, option B thing that it likes to do. Option A, tick time forward, recommended. Instead of just picking the highest turn progress and subtracting 1, we should advance time until the next entity crosses the threshold. I don't understand what you mean. That means find the entity with the lowest time to reach 1. Advance all entities, turn progress by that amount. Aren't we doing that anyway? Isn't everybody ticking at the same... Well, they wouldn't tick at the same rate, but they tick at their same rate times speed. That entity acts and we subtract 1. Repeat. I don't really know what it means by that. Because I would assume that we were doing that already, but now it sounds like we're not doing that, so I don't know what the fuck we're doing then. If you want to keep this simple pick highest progress approach, then the initial offset should be negative. That's what I said! Oh, I'm going to show you. I swear to God. Jibity is becoming absolutely unbearable. It was great at one point. Now it's been a little bitch. It's rejecting my ideas and then forcing me to use something else. Then that doesn't work. Then it gaslights me and calls me stupid for using that method. And then tells me we should do it the way I originally said and tries to take credit for it. It's like the most toxic fucking conversation I've ever had in my entire life. Let me show you my suggestion for that. I want to prove it. There it is. I told you. So let's read my message from however long ago this was, shall we? A couple of hours ago. So I think it should be default player 0, enemy 0, etc. It makes the overtaking part easier to notice, I think. So it was asking me, do you want all players' characters to take a turn and then all enemy characters to take a turn like some RPGs, or do you want to do your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn? And I said, let's do your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn, because it makes the overtaking thing feel a bit more different. Because if it, like, I don't even know how you would handle everybody gets their turn first and then everybody else gets their turn first when you introduce speed into that. That just confuses me. So I decided to go with your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn. So to clarify, starting turns, default turn order, we can position everyone fairly, that's supposed to be fairly, and then let the tick system do its thing. So here's my suggestion. I'm guessing we just set player 0 to turn 1, enemy 0 to turn -1. Okay, maybe that should have said 0. Enemy player 1 to turn -2, etc. I said this hours ago, and let's see what it said. Oh, we don't need to do that. Since we're just staggering them anyway, we'll just stagger them by like 2 decimal fucking places. By like 0.01 fraction of a turn. And I was like, well, okay, maybe it's 5 head, maybe it knows something I don't. But when I saw that, I thought, why not just do it my way, you fucking freak? And now it's come all the way back around to admit that I was right and it was wrong and we should use negative numbers now. Oh, well, isn't that fucking convenient? It's still using fractions of turns. Implementation, option A, tick time forward. Here's how you can rewrite run calculation mode. It always does this why this works and then it never fucking works. So like it's like me saying, yes my friend, just jump out of the window and flap your arms and you will fly, and then saying why this works and then give you some bullshit about air pressure and wind flapping and all this stuff, and the guy's like, oh, that sounds really convincing, let me just try that. Dead friend. Like, what an arsehole. Never put this in a medical practice, in a medical context. Please don't use GPT as a doctor or a psychiatrist. I shouldn't even be using it to help me code, but I like to argue with it. I really don't like this. I think it's overcomplicated. But I can't help the morbid curiosity. Let's just see if this does actually give us... I don't really know what it's doing, because when it presented option A to me in the first place, I didn't really understand what it was saying, because I thought we were doing what it was saying we would now do anyway. So I'm like, well, if we're not doing that now, what the fuck are we doing? I don't even know. Battle Runner, I'm in the wrong script. So what's it giving me a new function for? I just want to see if it does actually run calculation mode. Yeah, but also if we change... I'm a little frustrated. Originally, I suggested using starting the turn timings like this. Player 0, turn tick. I don't even understand when do we become... That's not even how it should be. Enemy 0. I like this kind of value because it's abundantly clear that how many turns behind each entity is. Also, you are providing a fix for only one mode. If there's an issue with the turn tick logic, it should be fixed so that any of our modes will follow the same fixed logic. Okay, I'm a little frustrated. Originally I suggested starting the turn timings like this. Player 0, turn tick 0, enemy 0, turn tick -1, player 1, turn tick -2. I like this kind of value because it abundantly because it's abundantly clear how many turns behind each entity is. Also, if all entities tick at same rate, then the order should maintain. Providing a fix in one of the modes seems like a bad idea. If there's an issue with the turn tick...
787 says, hi.
Hello, Bigum. If there's an issue with the turn tick logic, it should be fixed so that any of our mods will follow the same fixed logic. That way we only fix it once, rather than 3 separate places. I'm a little frustrated. Originally I suggested starting turn timings like this. I like this kind of value, these kind of values. Okay, I like this because it's abundantly clear how many turns behind each entity is. Also, if all entities tick at the same rate, the order should maintain if they shuffle to the back at the end of their turns. Providing a fix in one of the modes seems like a bad idea. If there's an issue with the turn tick logic, it should be fixed so that any of our mods will follow the same fixed logic. That way we
I know
only
you've been
fix it
feeling
once,
unwell recently, so are you
rather
feeling
than
better?
three
If not, I
separate
hope you get well
places.
soon.
Yeah, I've got other things going on as well. Yeah, I'm getting there. I only just came off the medication that was fucking messing me up, but now I'm on new medication, so I didn't sleep very well last night. I'll get there. It's just it'll take a while. Gout's like that. Gout's a lot of like, it's a bit like game development. It's a lot of trial and error because it's all about uric acid levels in the bloodstream. So it's not like a typical thing where you get ill, you get better, and then that's it. It's like this constant fluctuating levels of acid, which result in pain and inflammation and all kinds of things. But yeah, it's all COVID's fault. I was fine until I got COVID. And then I think it just managed to get a grip on me because my immune system was so low. I'm a little frustrated, right? I think I might send this back. Providing a fix in one of the mods seems like a bad idea. If there's an issue with the turn tick logic, it should be fixed so that any of our mods will follow the same fixed logic. That way we only fix it once rather than three separate places. Can you clarify?
Today in TOF I finished Leche's sim story, which was a bit buggy near the end.
Sorry, give me a second. Right, so to summarize, turn tick is affected by speed. Turn order falls back to base initiative index if speeds match. When turn order reaches 0, it's that entity's turn. If my understanding is correct, I think setting initial value to negative number of turns seems like the best way to stagger turn order. Alright, let's see what it says. Yeah, you've got the right instinct here, and I think your frustration is justified. Right now, you've got two competing systems. A tick forward system, turn tick, with turn progress accumulating. A simulate turn shortcut that bypasses that logic. That's why things feel inconsistent. The cleanest solution is exactly what you're suggesting. Fix the core tick turn logic once so that all modes, calculation, manual, auto, uses the same rules. Then you don't need hacks in each mode. Core principles, restating in your words, turn tick is affected by speed. Each entity has a turn tick or turn progress that increases by speed times delta time or per simulation step. Turn order fallback. If two entities reach readiness at the same time, use base initiative index to break ties. Yes. Turn readiness. When turn tick is greater than or equal to 0, that entity is ready to act. After acting, push them back by subtracting some fixed threshold. Turn tick minus equals turn threshold, usually 1F. Yeah, but isn't that just pushing them back to 1 turn? Ah! Jibbity, you are so frustrating. I think it's over. I think it's made this way too convoluted. See, you had me following along until you say something stupid like this. It's basically saying we should knock them back 1 turn. But if we knock them back 1 turn, there are 8 fucking characters in the battle. Don't we need to knock them back 8 turns? Okay, I'm going to query it on this. I'm still struggling with your logic here. Maybe I'm misunderstanding. To me, there are 8 entities all taking turns in the turn queues. So knocking back 1 turn at the end of a turn doesn't make sense to me. Surely we want to knock them back minus total entities, e.g. minus 8 turns. Surely you want to knock them back minus total entities, e.g. minus 8 turns, since they now need to go to the back of the queue. Am I misunderstanding the current system? If so, would this system make more sense? Okay. I'm still struggling with your logic here. Maybe I'm misunderstanding. Turn readiness. When entities ready to act. To me, there are 8 entities all taking turns in the turn timings queue. So knocking back 1 turn at the end of a turn doesn't make sense to me. Surely we want to knock them back minus total entities, e.g. minus 8 turns, since they now need to go to the back of the queue. Am I misunderstanding the current system? If so, would this system make more sense? I see where the confusion is, and you're not wrong to feel that way. Let's carefully untangle this, because there are 2 subtly different models of turn queues at play. 2 models of turn order. Let me just read your thing. Today in Tower Fantasy I finished Leches' Sim story, which was a bit buggy near the end. I was only half paying attention to it when I did it. I think it's her story that I did. I might have been doing the main story. Maybe I haven't done her story. I can't remember. 2 models of turn order. Active time battle, continuous time model, what I was describing. Each entity has a turn tick or progress that fills up at a rate proportional to speed.
There are many types of logic in the world, from the easy to understand ones to the complex ones to the absolute foolish logic that is very frustrating to deal with.
Each entity has a turn tick or progress that fills up at a rate proportional to speed. When it reaches a threshold, such as 0, that entity is ready. After acting, you only subtract 1 turn's worth. Why? Because the entity doesn't go to the back of the line of 8. It just starts filling again at its own speed. Faster units will lap slow ones, so the order is not a strict round-robin queue. This is how Final Fantasy or Grandia works. Yeah, well, ours ain't fucking working, is it? Faster characters act more often, not just once per cycle of 8. Yeah, but do you not understand if we're ticking? Jippity, I think you're wrong about this. If your clock fills faster than the guy in front of you, then you're going to reach turn 7 from turn 8 faster than they will reach turn 7 to turn 6. So you essentially take their spot. So it can still work the way Final Fantasy. We don't. And do you know that that's how Final Fantasy does it? You don't know that they're not knocking them back to -8 and then just ticking. Strict queue model, what you're describing, think of it as a conveyor belt with 8 slots. Everyone is placed in order. When someone acts, they go to the back of the queue, so effectively turn tick minus equals total entities. This guarantees a strict round-robin order if speeds are equal. Faster units can still overtake by ticking forward faster, but the baseline is always back of the line. This is how closer to how board games or some tactical RPGs handle turn order. Which one fits your design? From your wording, to me, there are 8 entities all taking turns in the turn timings queue, so knocking back one turn at the end of a turn doesn't make sense to me. Surely we want to go knock them back to the number of entities. That's Model 2, strict queue. You're imagining a literal queue of 8 slots, and after acting, the entity goes to the back. That's a perfectly valid design, and it makes the overtaking very visible because faster units will re-enter the queue sooner. Exactly. Okay, so I mean, I don't know if I care. Okay, first thing to understand. I'm struggling to understand if there's even a difference. Let's just draw this out. Let's draw this out. Because I think these are just 2 ways to string a cat. I think these both do the same thing. Let's draw it out. Jippity's saying, right, in both of these examples, we are the green circle. Okay. Where's my paint fill, motherfucker? Okay, in both of these examples, we are the green circle. And the grey circles are going to be the other things in the queue. I don't even necessarily think that the result would be any different. What it's saying is, and I think the gaslighting is ridiculous. So it's saying, actually, I would have been better off. You know what I would have been better off? I need more at the bottom and less at the top, really. Yeah, let me just fix this. It's just close enough. Because we're interested to see what these values would be underneath. So this is the guy I did click that, you fucking piece of shit. Okay, I'm going to start with my system on the right because I understand my system better.
2 different types of logic can be doing it from the shortest to quickest, while the other is doing it from the soonest to latest.
It's a maths problem. Okay, so Jippity is saying that when it's turn 0, so let's say this is 0. We're both saying that when our value reaches 0, it is your turn. So 0 equals your turn. Now, Jippity's saying, well, no, let me do mine first. I'm saying, if this is turn 0, we set the player's first character to 0, and we set the next character to -1, -2, -3, -4. And essentially what we would be doing is we are filling the clock, right? As time ticks, we're going down from -1, depending on what our speed is, and we go all the way down to 0. And then when it's 0, it's our turn. So let's just, for argument's sake, in both of these examples, we want the speed to be the same. So let's say speed is 100, which it currently is for all of our tests, actually, because I don't want to fuck with speed until I know that this is working. So speed equals 100. So we can think of that as 100%. So just to make things easy, right, let's say that it takes 1 second per unit of speed. So if you were 200 speed, you'd do it in half a second. Okay. Whether it takes you half a second to go from -4 to -3, or whether it's doing it the way Jipity is saying, which is you start at 1 every single time and you go down to 0.
In basic logic, 0 is smaller than 13, but in some scenarios 0 is bigger than 13 and so forth.
What Jipity's doing is Jipity is saying you start at 1, you go down to 0, right? So this would still take you 1 second of time, and then as you reach 1 second of time, you're allowed to move up in the queue. Right? And the queue is like a separate variable. It's no different from this, but I think what makes this one easier to understand is here you need a second variable of position, right? So you need to carry this second position variable with you. I am in position 4th. I am in position 3rd. I am in position 2. But oh, look at that. We can see what position we're in my system because we literally use the same variable to do both functions. So I think Jipity's lying to me, or it's just misunderstanding. I think if it takes half a second, whether you're moving up a position and you constantly go from 1 to 0, 1 to 0, 1 to 0, or whether you're allowed to go -4, -3, -2, -1, I think the outcome is the same. If 100 speed takes 1 second, it's still going to take you 4 seconds to get up to the top, regardless of which system you're using. But I think this system is better because you only need one variable and you can just go, you could knock a player. Also, I think another advantage to my system is, let's say you wanted something where a boss knocks you back 10 turns. Well, now we can just set the turn tick to -10, and suddenly we've magically delayed. Okay, let me just do something. So it looks like I had a different model in mind. So let's discuss further. I like this model for 2 reasons. Only one variable needed. Tick also dictates turn position. Strict queue persistence. allows for things like boss attack knocks you back 10 turns. Takes time to recover. Okay, so it looks like I had a different model in mind, so let's discuss further. I like this model for two reasons. Only one variable needed. Tick also dictates turn position. Strict queue persistence. By pushing to the back after turn taken. Allows for things like boss attack knocks you back 10 turns, takes time to recover. Or players ultimate advances team by 0.25 of a turn. With this in mind, can you show me the changes needed to implement this? Okay. So it looks like I had a different model in mind, so let's discuss further. I like this model for two reasons. I said two reasons and I listed three. Only one variable needed. Tick also dictates turn position. Strict queue persistence by pushing to the back after turn taken. Allows for things like boss attack knocks you back 10 turns, take time to recover. Or players ultimate advances team by 25% of a turn. With this in mind, can you show the changes needed to implement this? Perfect, you've articulated it really well. You want a strict queue model where each entity has one variable, turn take, both determines when they act and where they are in the queue. After acting, they're pushed to the back of the queue, minus total entities. Modifiers, knockback, haste, ultimates are just add or subtract operations on turn take. This is clean, extensible, and very intuitive. Thank you! Core rules cap, assign turn take to equals minus index or base initiative minus base initiative index, so the queue is staggered, example with 8 entities. Yeah, so P0 is at 0, E0 is at -1, P1's at -2, E1's at -3. Ticking every frame or sim step is entity start speed times delta time. Yep. Okay, so implementation changes in battle entity. We keep our base initiative index. Okay, let's see what's different. Because we didn't have a turn tick, did we? Okay, so consume turn, we can change that. Consume turn says turn tick minus equals total entities, so we push to the back of the queue. Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. I think that makes so much sense. I also don't think the other way of implementing it necessarily changes the output. I think it just makes it harder to follow, at least in my brain it does. I like to be able to see exactly how many turns behind something is, and then it's really easy to order things. And like I say, it's really easy to say, you know, the boss knocks you back 10 turns, or, you know, you're advanced by a quarter, everybody in the party is advanced by a quarter of a turn or something like that. I bet that's how these other RPGs are doing it, to be honest. I don't think it's doing it the way Jibity thinks that they're doing it. I think it's probably doing it the way I'm doing it. Because there's a simple rule in game development that I hear all the time. Simple is always better. If you can solve the problems, the more simply that you can solve the problem, the better the solution is. The more convoluted and complicated you make it, the worse of a solution it is. Because we only care about the outcome, but it's obviously easier to maintain a simple solution than it is a complicated solution. And I think Jippity's solution was just more complicated than it needed to be. It would have resulted in the same right, so we need a turn tick, single variable for turn position. So we no longer have a turn progress, we have a turn tick. We still have is stunned. I like to have small i's. Is alive. And now we have an is ready instead of turns ready. And we don't need to turn gauge. See how much more simple I just made it? I just turned... So basically, I just turned 3 turn variables into 1. So now we only have 1 variable to deal with. That's so much better. Public void advance. Consume turn, advance take damage. So advance is saying as long as we're... So it's saying if we're dead or we're stunned, then we don't advance a turn. Otherwise, turn tick plus equals stats.speed times delta time. Right, and we would call that on all entities on every frame whilst not paused. Yeah, this is making sense to me now. This is making a lot more sense to me. Definitely. Okay, so everything should line up with what's there now. And then initialization. So initialization is on our battle runner. So our base initiative is different now as well. So this replaces that. Okay. Tick system, private void tick. So this would be instead of turn tick. So we call advance on every frame and we pass along delta time. So there should be an update calling tick. Get next entity. Is battle entity. Is alive. Is ready. Oh, did I not add the is ready? Okay, I didn't add the is ready. That's girl entity, not battle entity. We're done with weapons, weapon, P girl, battle entity. Is player, is alive. I guess we'll add it to turn order calculation because it's kind of related to turn order. So one is ready. Yeah. Okay, so is ready is set based off of turn tick greater than equal to 0. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Example special effects. Entity turn tick minus equals 10. Each of our ally play ultimate advances team for each of our ally. Okay, I'll keep that as an example so that I can refer to it if I need to in the future. So on Battle Runner, it still says E is ready is not a thing. That's because it doesn't have my lowercase, my signature lowercase I. Okay, there's one of the errors gone. We still have one remaining error. I'm going to put this function, I'm going to make a function that says void example function. We do have a turn tick. Why is it saying it doesn't contain... Oh, battle entity, that's why. Yeah, entity is different from battle entity. I think entity is a unity reserved type. But it's that again, that's another mistake that GPT made. It's battle entity that we want. Yeah, I think entity is like a unity reserved class or something. Entity consume turn. Yeah, it's saying var entity get next entity, but get next entity must be passing along the wrong type or something. It says private battle entity return core all entities. There is no argument that corresponds to the required parameter total entities of battle entity consume turn int. Well, I think consume... Yeah, so consume turn wants a total number of entities. Okay, I see. All entities. Why can't it see that? Because it's on core. Okay, so we want core all entities count. Okay. So tick is currently not called anywhere. Okay, so I'm going to give it this script because this script is saying not only is tick not called, but we have a coroutine called handle turn, which is also not called. Great, here's the full script. Currently tick and handle turn are not called anywhere. I guess we can add tick to update with an is paused condition. Not sure if we still need handle turn or where to now call it. Okay. Yes, you've now got the strict queue model in place, but the script is still halfway between the old simulate turn shortcut and the new tick-based system. Let's clean it up so that there's one consistent loop that works for all mods. What's wrong with it right now? Tick and handle turn are never called. Simulate turn just grabs the next ready entity immediately, but nothing is actually advancing. Turn tick over time. In calculation mode, your looping while is battle not over without advancing time, so only entities that started at greater than 0 ever act. In manual auto, you're also skipping the tick logic. The unified model, tick every frame or sim step, advance all entities. Turn tick by speed times delta time. Check for readiness. If an entity has turn tick greater than or equals 0, they're ready to act. Handle turn that entity, manual input auto or instant calc. After acting, push them back, turn tick minus equals total entities, repeat until battle ends. So change is needed. The update loop we need to add. Remove simulate turn. You don't need simulate turn anymore. I liked simulate turn. He was a good boy. You better be right about all this, Jibbity. That's weird because every single function was calling simulate turn. Okay. Handle turn should consume turn. At the end of handle turn, after performing the skill, add this. Instead of your current while is battle not over simulate turn, do this instead. So run calculation mode is being replaced. You see how much stuff needs to change? You see what I mean? This is what I keep saying. This is why we don't get artifact presets in Genshin Impact. This is why Ross thinks you can just press the magic button and make an online game offline playable forever for free. And yet you saw how much stuff I had to change there. And all we did is we went from a system that goes from 0 to 1 and has these extra variables that it keeps track of to a simplified queuing system that sort of solves everything in a more simple approach, if I do say so myself. And also allows for fun things like knockbacks and turn advances and things like that. So I think that was worth the upgrade. But you see how we removed this simple numbers counting from 0 to 1, or 1 to 0 rather, and now we can go back into the negatives instead. And that also reflects our queue place. And you see how much stuff had to change to support that new system. Crazy, huh? But that's how it is. People who don't make games don't understand how many systems and how much stuff. It's all connected, it's all interweaved, everything relies on something else. You change one thing. Think of a massive Think of a massive skyscraper made of Jenga blocks, and you want to pull out the bottom block. Now, if you're only pulling one block out, you might be okay or not, but you can see how if you start taking too many blocks out, that's what happens. That's exactly what this is like. Everything supports something else, which then supports something else, which then supports something else, which then supports something else. And if you take one Jenga brick out, you're going to break 50 other bricks that rely on that one brick. I still don't think that is right, because I don't think we call, let's see, I think we only call handle turn from calculation mod. Does handle turn need to know which player it's got? Oh my god. Yikes. Yikes. You have to tell it whose turn it is. So I can't just slap that in like we did before, because the structure's changed so much that now we don't just call a global, you know, take the next turn. Now the way the new system works is we've got to say, hey, we want this entity to take its turn. So before you can do that, you need to know, well, which entity is that exactly? How are we keeping track of that exactly? So I can't implement it into other game mods just yet. Okay, you see how much other stuff's broken? We got 6 broken things now. Again, the Jenga block. Okay, that's fine. That's just a naming convention. That's just a naming convention. Okay. Okay. So I'm guessing we need to handle the UI differently now since we are going out of range beyond 0 to 1. On that note, there are two ways to represent this with the UI: tick until next position gained or tick until next turn. Originally I thought it would be cool if knocked back 10 turns the clock ticks 10 times slower, but we'd need a separate way to handle queue position if we do it like that. So what do you suggest? Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. Now that we're using a strict queue model, the old 0 to 1 gauge logic doesn't map cleanly anymore. We need to decide what the radial UI is actually representing. So two representation options: tick until next position gained. The radial shows progress from the entity's current turn tick to the next integer step. If you get knocked back 10 turns, you'll see the clock tick through 10 full cycles before you're ready. Pros, very literal, each lap, one queue position. Knockbacks feel visually punishing, lots of cycles to wait. Cons, the gauge spins for a lot of big knockbacks, which might feel confusing or spammy. Harder to read at a glance. Am I 2 turns away or 10? 2. Tick until next turn. The radial shows progress from the entity's current turn tick to 0, the point where they act. If you're at -10, the gauge will fill slowly over the whole duration until you're ready. Pros, very clear. When the circle is full, I act. Easy to read at a glance. I think I like that one, but we'd have to handle queue positions separately. Cons, knockbacks just make gauge crawl slower, which might feel less dramatic. I think it's the opposite. I think it would feel more frustrating because you're like, oh my god, how long till my next turn? And you're watching it and it's taken forever to fill up and you'd be like, oh, I want to avoid that in the future. I think I like option 2. You lose the queue position granularity. You can't see how many turns behind you are, just that you're far away. This is where you can see that me and GBT are close to getting divorced because which one is it going with? It's showing me both. See, I want option 2. Okay. I definitely prefer option 2. Like you said, it's super clear you're counting down until your turn. With regards to losing the queue position, that should be pretty easy to ascertain since our negative integer value practically tells us -8. 8 positions from front. Can we use option 2 and also handle queue position based on the actual value? Perfect, you're on the right track. Let's wire this up properly for option 2. Count down until next turn, and also expose the queue position from the actual turn tick value. So key points, in the strict queue model, turn tick can be negative, -8. Readiness when turn tick is 0. For the radial fill, option 2, we want to show progress from current turn tick up to 0. For the queue position, we can take the integer part of turn tick, how many turns behind you are. Okay. It keeps giving me this, like, where are you wanting me to put this? This is actually in the... in this bit, I'm guessing. Battlerunner.car. Yeah, I could link that, I guess. What are you doing? This fucking project is unbelievable. Battle Runner. It's not going to let me link it. I hate Unity. I actually don't hate Unity, but this is the one thing I do hate. This might not even be Unity's fault. This might be Visual Studio's fault. But I hate that Battle Runner is inaccessible due to its protection level. Shut up. I want to kill you, I want to kill you, I want to kill you. Where is Battle Runner? I added it though. Did it not save? What is this error? Battle entity does not contain a definition for turn progress and no accessible extension. Oh my god! Yeah, because turn order was using turn progress, which is now gone. You see what I mean? We're still unweaving. Remember that diagram? We're still unweaving a basic count from 1 to 0 system so that we can now go negative whatever turns. We're still unweaving that. Look, all this is now fucked. And it won't let me assign my battle core. This is the one thing I fucking hate about Visual Studio. I don't know if it's Visual Studio or Unity's fault. Whoever's fault this is so short-sighted of whoever's fucking fault this is. Because you have to go and... It's so much more work. Look at what I have to do just to assign that, just to fix the other thing. It's like, it shouldn't have to validate every single reference before it saves and compiles and sends it to Unity so that I can assign things in the inspector, but it fucking does. And it's infuriating because it's just so much more work to do this every single time. You've got to undo stuff to like redo it again. Right, so that is now fucked. That doesn't make sense. This whole update is actually fucked. It won't let us do that because there's no turn progress anymore. So now I think I just delete this update. We'll leave it commented out. So I've got to fucking comment it out again now. Round and round we go. Bang your head against the brick wall. Boy, that's frustrating. Okay, are we finally clear of errors? We're finally clear of errors. but things still won't work because we need to go into turn icon. We need to unmute this now, and it's still saying BattleRunner.core is inaccessible due to its protection level. I bet that is not a mono behavior script. It is not a mono behavior script. Should we just make it a mono behavior script? Is there any reason that it's not a mono behavior script since we're in Unity? It's still inaccessible due to its protection level. What are you talking about? It's not even static. It's got... Oh, wait. Is the thing we're trying to access static? What are we trying to access? All entities.count. It's public. I don't understand what the issue is. What if I just ask for all entities count on it then? It's still saying... It's still saying core is inaccessible due to its protection level. Because it's... Where? I'm going to kill somebody. I'm actually going to kill somebody. I'm actually going to... Wait, no, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. We could probably directly access that now. We could just do all entities count. Yes. Okay. So what did I add? Entity count. We don't need that anymore. Check that out. Okay, now we still have the problem. We still have the problem of UI turn icon, not turn icon, turn order. This is now redundant. Okay. Is this update completely redundant now? We no longer have what is it that we don't have? List turn icon does not. No, it was before it was saying entity turn progress. What? Now it's saying it doesn't have icons. Icons is turn. Yeah. Order by descending. It's saying, is it because does it need like system link or something? Yeah, okay, that was because system link came out. I thought so. So what we're actually missing is turn progress on entity. Yeah, because that came out, right? Yeah, it did. Okay, so the actual issue is that we no longer have turn progress on entity. Okay. Exactly, you've spotted the mismatch. That update in your turn order script was written for the old model, where each entity had a turn progress 0 to 1, so you could sort by. Now that you've switched to the strict queue model with a single turn tick, which can be negative, you don't have turn progress anymore. So yes, the current update is redundant, broken, but you still need something similar, a way to sort icons by queue position and animate them into place. So the new update, it's giving me a new turn order script. Okay. Okay. And there you go. I hope that is good evidence that game dev is hard. Right? And if you remove one Jenga block, because the last 2 hours, okay, maybe not 2 hours, but like I would say the last hour and a half has been just changing that diagram that I drew. It's gone now, where we moved the value from counting from 1 to 0, and then as it hit 0 you moved up a place, and it relied on these other variables to track that. And I basically made it a singular thing where I'm like, okay, well, why don't we just put the Q in the value? Why can't we just knock it back 8 positions, and then we'll just, you know, keep charging at whatever rate? That makes more sense to me. And it allows for fun things like knockbacks and, you know, advanced turn by a quarter of a turn or whatever, advanced turn by 10% and stuff like that, which you do see a lot in a lot of the good RPGs. So that just made more sense to me. And I do think that the result would have been the same. It's just making a problem. If you can simplify a problem, it's a better solution. The simple solutions are always the better solutions, especially when you have so many systems stacked on so many systems stacked on so many systems. Obviously, it gets complicated enough. You don't need complicated solutions when you're weaving dozens, hundreds of simple solutions together. That still overall becomes a complicated relationship. And you saw there that it took like an hour and a half just to change the way a number works on a countdown. So the last hour and a half was basically just changing the way speed ticks and the way turn order is calculated. And then that affects the UI, because we have the UI which represents all that to the player, and the clocks on the UI. So it's like you change one, like I say, you change one Jenga brick. And this thing isn't even done yet, right? Like, speed is going to be implemented into so many other places. This isn't a finished game. This is a system that I've been working on for a day and a half. And you saw how much stuff came toppling down. Imagine a game like Genshin Impact that's been running for 4 or 5 years. What it's like for them to change a block. It is insane. This is what I think people don't understand about game dev. But I'm glad, because I've learned, and another good piece of advice I would offer is if you catch these things early, you learn to think about things as deeply and as far forward as you possibly can, as early as you possibly can. Because the earlier you start moving those bricks around, just imagine being a bricklayer building, I don't know, twin towers from bricks, right? And you start at the bottom floor. You don't want to be told when you're 100 feet up in the air that, mate, some of those bricks need changing on the ground floor. You put the wrong ones in. They wanted blue, you put pink in. You're going to give him a fucking can of paint and say, fuck you, that's staying there. Right? You don't want to be 600 stories up and then told that the ground floor needs some bricks changing. Because that, as you can imagine, is way too much. It's just not feasible. But if you're just starting to get to the top of the ground floor, or maybe you've just started the first floor, that's not as bad. It's still bad. It's still bad. Because you feel like, hey, I just finished the ground floor. Great. We're making such good progress. And then the boss walks in and says, those bricks need changing, mate. You see those ones at the bottom there in the corner? Wrong ones. I need you to take those out. I need you to put the new ones in. That's still not a nice thing to have to do. But imagine doing it 100 stories up. Yeah, you can't. At that point, you just can't. You're like, I'm sorry, we have to use those bricks. They're staying in there. We are leaving those bricks in there. They are not coming out. We will do whatever we need to do to work around that. But we are leaving those bricks in. But maybe as you're just getting to the first floor, maybe if you take the time, you can be like, oh, okay, fine, we're already one floor up, I guess, if we have to. And so that's what you just witnessed. That's what that was. So if the sooner you can spot these things and be like, wait, is this really the system I want? Is this really how I want it to work? Is this what we're going for? The sooner you can squash that and say, nope, I want it to work this way instead, yeah, the less work you will have overall to make these things work the way you want to make them work. Yeah, this project is going great. I've got to be honest, it really is. I have a few little niggly things that I wish I could change, but like, compared to a Snowball's Chance, mind you, I only worked like 2 months on that game. Already this game, we're like 9 months in, right? I think I started it in like January or something. So we're like 9 months. So like this game, if we were, let me show you the scale. Okay, a Snowball's Chance, and a Snowball's Chance did burn out. I had to take a little break. I got burned out halfway through, and I really had to push myself to finish it towards the end. And I was sick of the sight of it by the time I was finished. And I felt like it almost killed me. Well, I mean, exaggeration, I know, but it really did take a lot out of me. But here's why as well, right, is I made a fundamental mistake at the start of a Snowball's Chance. And that's what was making it so frustrating. The reason it got so bad towards the end of a Snowball's Chance is I felt like 80% of my work was battling a badly designed system that I regretted to hell and back designing it that way. And so by making a bad system decision at the start, which I thought was genius at the time, and it turned out to be terrible, 80% of my efforts was battling this fucking bug, this problem, this badly designed system that I'd come up with, and trying to solve the problems I'd made for myself. And that's why that was so grueling to work on towards the end, because I made some really bad decisions early on in the system architecture. And so I've made sure to learn as much as I can about how not to make those mistakes again. And so this project, let me just show you the scale. Where is shapes? There it is. Okay, if they were skyscrapers or buildings, a snowball's chance would probably be like a little house like this. Right, 3 months of work. And it could have been less if I had built better systems. Already, this project is like this. And it's not done yet. It will probably be more like that when it's finished in terms of scale. I didn't even think I could go bigger than this, to be honest, because I struggle with the snowball's chance. But I do remember thinking, why is this so difficult? Why do I hate this project? Why do I just want to throw it in the bin and be done with it? What's the worst thing about working on this right now? And I realized it's the design choices that I made. It's the bad system. It's the fact that I'm battling everything, and it's my own fault, and it's too late to change it. And it felt horrible. And so I made damn sure that I wasn't going to make that mistake with this project. And I can safely say I honestly haven't. Because I've thought much longer and harder about how things should be built and how things should work and how things should fit together. And every time I've found a better solution, there are definitely quite a few systems in this that I've gone back and said, okay, I can make that better. And then I've changed it. Okay, I can make that better and changed it. Okay, I can make that better and changed it. Because I learned doing this that if you don't do that, you can end up being a slave to your own badly designed system, and it ends up being hell on earth. So, yeah. It's crazy to think that that's actually where we're at. Crazy, but it really is. I don't even know how many lines of code this is. I don't want to know. If we were talking about pure code, I would say the scale difference is even bigger than this. Because like this project is a lot of code. A lot of code. But it's because I've built systems as robust and dynamically as I possibly can. I think it takes more code. I mean, look at the fucking data driving this thing. It's crazy. It's crazy that I've achieved what I've achieved already, and it's not even done yet. Like, all the different weapons that we have, all the different gacha characters that we have, all the different armor sets that we have, and every one of these has 4 different armor pieces with 3 different rarities. The stats driving this thing, the materials, the game modes. It's fucking insane. But what this has proved to me, which was always my suspicion all along, is if you take your time and build the right systems, you can stack and stack and stack and stack and stack, and it doesn't get too difficult to maintain. But the key really is building those good systems and making sure it's structured correctly. Yeah, because if you don't, then even a little thing like a snowball's chance can become this spaghetti tangled mess. crazy. Anyway, I'm probably going to leave it there. I need a little break. I should probably test it. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to work. And another thing is, though, with this, like, I have this problem of, like, so, like I said, because everything connects to everything else, it's, like, really difficult. I just got a error. Gear root on characters was not assigned. Why are we tracking gear on characters, though? Also, yeah, no, there's no gear route because we have a weapons route and we have... What? Why would that suddenly be an error? We don't have a central gear route, as it were. Why is that not normally an error? What? I am so confused. It's looking for a transform. Oh, I know why. I know why. I know why. That was my old stat system. Yeah, we've changed that. Again, this is exactly what I'm talking about. I changed a system that wasn't very good to a system that's now very good. And this is left behind from the old system. So what I used to do is I was making copies of characters in the inspector, which is a very bad idea. But I didn't know how else to do it at the time. But now I've got much better ways of doing it. We have these like stat modifier classes now that like can just apply stat modifiers, and they're all like completely like immutable and stuff. It's crazy. So that was a copy of the gear that was equipped on characters so that we could apply calculations to them. But now we have this kind of thing, right? Scale for dungeon. So we basically just apply runtime stats by calling set scale stats, which just applies the multiplies directly to the objects. No. Jenga tower again, where if I take that out of characters, we get 29 places that are now complaining. Okay, our load profile is trying to update gear on system characters. Also, update total was being used. Okay, update total was being used. Okay. Yeah, but update total wasn't actually doing anything. There's no code in there. There isn't anything on update gear either. This was obviously to do. This was obviously something that I was thinking, okay, I'll do that when I get around to. Yeah, another unfinished, botched system by me. Okay, now we've got to pull all this out now. Okay, so that doesn't do anything. So what else is referencing it? Yeah, this all needs to change now as well. So that was quite nice. What I might do, so there was an advantage of doing it. I think that's because I was driven by UI. Here's another thing you'll find is there are two ways. Okay, this is something else I've discovered in game development. There are two ways to build a system that I've found that I normally come across. And they seem to build very different systems. I'm going to actually go through this now so that I can understand it, what the distinction is. Okay. So I'm going to call these UI driven and like core. Would be the right way to describe it. Like you either start building from a core and you build on top. Let's just call it core evolve, right? Evolve from core, I guess, or UI driven. I would say these are the two types of systems that I often find myself building. So I either build a system this way, where I evolve a system from the core and I say, okay, we have gear and we need to do stuff with that, and then we need to store it like this, and then this will feed another system over here, you know, and you start building how things connect, and then towards the end you sort of say, okay, now we'll have stuff accessible for the UI system to read. So now the UI can pull from these core systems. But you can also design a system that's UI driven. And this was UI driven. And the new system I made was core evolved. And so now I've broken the UI driven system. But because this was quite smart for a UI driven system, because what we did is we had a separate route for base stats, a separate route for leveled stats, a separate route for geared stats. And you see how neat, I know it's a lot of text, but this was a very neat way of doing it, because we were simply pulling stats from a specific stat type. And then that way we can have a drop down on the UI that says, see my stats at leveled, see my stats at gear, see my stats at base. And you could just pick which stat type you wanted and it would reflect it in the UI. But because I deleted, so in a UI driven system, you start with the interface usually. So you'll have an interface and you'll start mapping things out in the interface. And I add my little character here. And it suddenly became apparent, oh, I want a drop down that lets me see the different types of stats. And that's something that I'm going to need to deal with eventually anyway. Let's build a system for it now. The problem is when you build UI driven systems, your priority is implementing all the data to drive your UI, right? So you're kind of putting the cart before the horse. So you build your system like this. And then, oh, look at that, I can pull all this down. But then when it's time to talk to the core, it's like a clunky, awkward way of doing things because you built it to drive UI, not to drive the core. I think the best sweet spot, because where I'm at right now, is when I see this, it's a shame to lose it. So I think there's two ways of solving this. I feel like I either want to create like a halfway between system, so I can now get my core to sort of spit out the transforms that this needs, but it will get it from its core data set, right? So it will take it will apply the stats and run the methods that applies the stat buffs, and then rather than instantiate it into a battle system, I'll need to teach my system to instantiate it onto roots as game objects, because then my UI system can pull from those game objects and then feed it to the UI, which is exactly what this was doing. Otherwise, I have to talk to the core directly, and it's kind of awkward. So I think the solution here is to get my new core stat system to actually instantiate the game objects on the hierarchy that then feeds the UI system, that the UI system can then put in the UI. But oh my god, it's crazy how you change one thing. Yeah. So that's where all these errors are coming from, because that was the old root for the old stat system. And that's why I muted all of these last night. I muted all of these last night because now this won't work. Because they don't exist anymore as objects. And it was a bad idea to keep them as objects anyway. But it does make me wonder, should I instantiate those objects at runtime so that we can still have this system work? And it would basically be creating like dummy objects for the stat system to read from, because the transform trick is quite a nice trick, especially for UI. But our new stat system could actually do one better, because my new stat system has substats, it has a base class, and it has subclasses. So we could actually just instantiate from subclass and then feed it that way. I don't know. I don't want to deal with that right now. I'll deal with that later. I'll deal with that later. Yeah, all of this is pretty much broken now. But that'll be all those errors there. Yeah. Error's gone. Okay, that's much cleaner though. And this hierarchy is crazy enough as it is, so that if I can take stuff out of that hierarchy and give it to core functions that can recreate hierarchies, because this is what I've been doing with, this is what I started doing with my new API, by the way. I figured out how to make my API so that what we essentially do is we structure data in the hierarchy, and then when we're ready to go live, when we're ready to build out, we export the data to JSON blobs. The JSON blobs get translated into database tables, or they stay as JSON blobs on the server. And my API can handle both, right? Except if you keep it in JSON blobs, it's read-only, basically. So what I do is I export all of my hierarchy as data out to my server, and then I can delete the hierarchy and I'm good. And then my system will just pull it and rebuild it back from that hierarchy. So it's about creating objects. It feels very weird. You're creating objects and structures to then export them into a different format, to then store on a server, to then delete those objects, to then recreate those objects from the stuff that you pull from server, which sounds kind of counterintuitive, because it's like, well, why are you creating things to destroy them, to then recreate them? And it's the simple answer that it always is. It's data management, right? It's like, because you need the data, you need a way to create the data that you then need to recreate, right? It's like loading a spreadsheet, right? You have to make the spreadsheet so that you can load the spreadsheet back again later. But the part that feels unintuitive is destroying the spreadsheet. And so what you really did is you made some kind of spreadsheet regenerator that will regenerate the spreadsheet that you deleted. And most people would say, well, why don't you just keep it as a spreadsheet? And the answer is live service. That's why. There's two answers. One is live service. One is data security. There's three answers then. So live service, you want to be able to update and change that on a regular basis without having to rebuild new game builds all the time. So it needs to be like updatable, right? You can build new data without having to build the whole game. It separates data from game, basically. That also gives you extra security because you can protect your data now. People would have to get through your API to get to that data now, and they don't just get it out of fucking dumped strings or, you know, asset packed fucking serialized object hierarchies. And reason 3 is build size. Because of that, you can reduce your build size, and you can just pull whatever you want from server after the build's done. So the build's smaller, it's more compact, it runs better, it's more efficient, and then you just teach your build how to grab that data from server, and it'll just get it every single time. It's nice. But yeah, that's what I've been doing with my new API system. And that's what this project is kind of missing, but it's like, again, I'm stuck in UGS land, so I can't really... It's too late to change that now, but in future projects I'll be doing it that way for sure. Yeah, and if you think, well, what do you want about security? And you're like, what is it? Is it a banking app? Well, no, and I don't know if I should show you this, but this project's biggest problem, especially considering it's a gacha game, is I did wonderful with the gacha system. My gacha system is fucking awesome. It's so good. It's so hard to actually do it, to get anything you're not meant to get through that gacha system. It's really, really good. But I certainly didn't do that with game data. On game data, all you need to do to cheat in this game, all you would have to do is find these objects in the inspector. So you could do that through a developer console. And all you would need to do is just give yourself insane numbers on these, and that would be it. And then that's it. You can be like invincible. It's that easy. But using the server entity system of pulling data from servers, where you can just instantiate that from server all the time. Every time you go into battle, you just pull that data back and regenerate it. And then you know that data is correct and it's what's on the server. So a player could fiddle with as many values as they wanted and try and cheat, but it's just going to grab it off the fucking server and overwrite it again anyway. So that's what I mean by data security, is like, you can stop cheaters, it doesn't leave all your values and stuff exposed like this in memory, so people can't just get into it and fuck around with it with like cheat engine or developer or whatever, because you just pull it from server every single time. So yeah, that's how the new games will work. I made sure of it, but this game, we're too far along now to change it, I think. Alright, I'm going to leave it there. I am going to take a break because I need a break. But yeah, this is going well. Probably a boring stream, but I thought this went well actually. This was a pretty productive 3 hours, even though a lot of it was just changing a system to tick one way into a system that ticks another way. But I think that's a good analogy for what game dev is like, is spotting systems where they can be improved as early as you can and saying, wait, this is the wrong way to go, let's do it this way instead, and getting in there and making those changes and committing to them, because it sure becomes more and more difficult the longer you leave it. Definitely, because we'll be stacking things on this and then we'll be stacking more stuff on that and stacking more stuff on that, and it just gets to a point where it's like, okay, this is too big of a Jenga tower now. We can't change these bottom bricks. We're stuck with them. And that can be like the difference between wanting to work on a project this big still and still actually enjoying it, and me wanting to kill myself finishing a Snowball's Chance because of bad system design choices at the beginning. Yeah, that was a hard way to learn that lesson, but I definitely learned it. Alright, I will see you next time. Bye.